How's everybody doing? Good to see you. Let me see who's on here today. Charity, Emma, Marjorie, Hillary, Amanda, Adrian, Nancy, Pat, Anita from Latvia, France. Good to see you again. Anne, Shelley, Brenda, Yana, Kieran, and Mary. Welcome, everybody, folks. Good to see us all. It's a cloudy, rainy, and windy day here in Dublin. Not very attractive day, but what can you do? You see, we're here on the coast here at Dublin Bay. Let me zoom in here. You can see the Sienna line. That's the ferry. It's on its way either to Liverpool or to Holyhead in Wales. Hillary, how are you? Good to see us. Hope everybody's doing well, folks. We got a little under 3 minutes before we start our tour. We're here in the lovely neighbourhood of Clontarf, about 4 kilometres from Dublin City, on the north side of the city. Unfortunately, it's a miserable day. But what can you do? This the month of March has been really, really nasty weather. A lot of rain, a lot of wind. But what can you do? Because February was absolutely beautiful. It was really nice. So we can't complain too much. You can't have it every way. There you'll see beyond the Stena line, the ferry right there, you'll see the Poolbeg Lighthouse. Dates back to early 1700s. I think it's 1707. And this right here, as I say, we're along Dublin Bay and the cargo port. So we got a cargo port, the ferry port. We also have, this is where the cruise ships come in as well, here in Dublin. They're the Poolbeg stacks. You may have seen my Sandymount tour before, where you actually see these from the other side, from the south side of Dublin. In Sandymount, you'll see the Poolbeg stacks, or the Poolbeg chimneys, as we call them. Pencils, if you like, in the air. Catherine, how are you? Good to see you. Krista, Charity, Ellen, Heather, welcome. Everybody's just joined us. Dragon Flu, what a great name. I like it a lot. So this is, we're on the north side, Clontarf, 4 kilometres from Dublin City. Kieran and Mary, thank you so much for the early tip. I really appreciate it. So we're going to take you around, Clontarf today, and we're going to... How's the sound, folks? If you could let me know how the sound is and everything, that would be really cool. As I say, it's a lashing rain. I'm underneath the shelter right here. Show you the shelter right here. You can barely see it because I have it zoomed out. Let me zoom it back out. So I'm in the shelter right here, just getting in out of the rain for a few minutes before we start the tour. Okay, so the sound is really good. You can see well, everything. That's great. Fantastic. As I say, we're going to take you around lovely Clontarf. Obviously, it's more beautiful when the sun is shining and there's blue clouds, but what can you do today? It's cloudy, and it's not such attractive weather, but we'll make do what we can, folks. You got to be positive. This is the way it goes. Got to take the good with the bad. I've been very lucky here on Hago as regards weather-wise, because it does rain a lot here in Ireland, but I've been really, really lucky as regards. It hasn't rained a whole lot in over 302 tours. This is my 303rd tour on Hago in 2 years, and I probably only had about 5 or 6 times where it rained, which is quite extraordinary for Irish weather. So I guess I got the luck of the Irish. So I'm joining you from Clontarf. Good to know something about the history of Clontarf. Great stuff, Heather. Where are you in Clontarf? At least the clouds can get in your eyes. Can't get in your eyes. Yeah, there you go. The sun won't get my eyes yet. You got to look at the positives, folks. You got to look at the positives. Always think positive. At least, yeah, very good. So Heather, what part of Clontarf are you? Mark, good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. So, folks, we're going to start our tour right now. We're here in the lovely suburb, North Dublin suburb of Clontarf. It's situated on Dublin Bay, as you can see right here. And it's a very affluent suburb with a tranquil residential neighbourhood dotted with parks. St. Anne's Park is just up the road from here. It's an absolutely stunning, beautiful park in the neighbourhood of Raheny, right next to Clontarf. And it's also famous for the Battle of Clontarf, which I'll explain to you in just a little bit. The Battle of Clontarf took place here in the year 1014. And Clontarf, as I say, is on the north side of Dublin. Its postal code is Dublin 3. And Clontarf adjoins the North Dublin villages of Fairview, Marino, Callester and Raheny. And as I say, about 4 kilometres from Dublin City, the population is 32,815 to be precise. Shelley, how are you? Beautiful day. Not so beautiful here, Shelley. Welcome, everybody's just joined us. Good to see us all. I hope you're doing well, folks. just want to show you. I was going to go in here. This is the Baths right here. It's just known as the Baths here in Clontarf. It's a restaurant, but also there's a pool here. It's an outdoor swimming pool. It's a saltwater pool, and it dates back to 1846. Now, the restaurant is fairly new. It's only about 5 or 6 years old, but the actual baths here, saltwater baths, and they date back, as I say, to 1846. Now, there's a good story about there was a water polo match that took place around here back in 1914. It was a water polo match that took place between a team from Howth and a team right here from Clontarf in 1914. The Howth team, on their way back, were arrested at Howth Harbour when they were met by the British Army, who thought the polo ball, they thought it was a bomb. As I say, there is the baths right there. It's closed today, so unfortunately we can't go in and see it. But there you go. Kieran Mary, no, hey, here you go. Generally isn't recorded. Not recorded, no. None of this is recorded, folks. You have to watch it live. But isn't that the beauty of it, watching it live, folks, in real time, as I'm walking down the promenade here in Clontarf on the north side of Dublin. Extreme low tide it is, Jim, because it's, I guess, cold, wet, windy today. Hilary, thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate it. That's what makes Hago so unique, yes. You get all sides. You'll see everything here on the Hago platform. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The beautiful continents and countries and cities throughout the world. The little villages, the little towns. You have it all. This is a very affluent area, as I said before, Clontarf. You can see some beautiful homes dotted along the seafront here, Dublin Bay, as we call it. Now, it's also very famous, Clontarf, for its castle, Clontarf Castle. And there's been a castle here on the site of it. Actually, Clontarf Castle is about, I'd say it's about a little less than a kilometre away, but it's just too far to walk because it's a residential area where the Clontarf Castle is. But there's been a castle on the site since 1172. But this has been much modernised. There's a much newer castle dating to 1837 at the site right now. And it functions as a bar, a cabaret venue, and a hotel. And the original castle, as I said, was built in 1172 by Hugh de Lancey, the Lord of Meath. And the last prior was John Rawson, and he was made the Viscount of Clontarf in 1541 in return for surrendering the castle and its lands to the Crown, the British Crown, as I said before. All of Ireland was occupied for over 700 years. I'm going to explain a lot more about that in tomorrow's tour, where we're doing Dublin Castle, the seat of British government in Ireland for over 700 years. Now, in 1600, Queen Elizabeth I granted the estate to Sir Richard Fenton, her Secretary of State for Ireland. And in 1649, it came into the hands of John Vernon, and the Vernon family was to remain in possession of the castle for some 300 years. Now, the hotel is now a hotel, the castle, and it opened to the public as a 4-star hotel, 111 rooms, in June 1997. Now, I'm going to show you some postcard photographs, folks, of the beautiful Clontarf Hotel, Clontarf Castle Hotel. Here's one right here. It's a really beautiful hotel. Here it is from the outside, the castle itself. As I said before, this dating back to 1837. As I say, there was an original castle before this site, on this site, dating back to 1172. Let me just show you some other views of the castle from the distance. This one is, as I say, it's just a little bit too far to walk up there. It's a huge wedding venue as well. I'll show you here. Here was a wedding. The last time I was here, there was a wedding coming in on the horse and cart, the carriage. It's pretty neat. It's really cool. And let me see. Here's just another part of it right there. So there's a few photographs of the wonderful castle right there. Now, as I say, this is a heritage trail right here, also along with being a promenade. And it tells the story of the Battle of Clontarf, which took place here right around where I'm standing right now in the year 1014. And I'll explain that to you a little bit. Let me just... So there, it just explains to you the Battle of Clontarf Heritage Trail. Brian Boru. Now you'll see it in both languages, the Irish language and the English language. I got my gimbal covered because of the rain, so let me just turn it around here a little bit and zoom in so you can see and read this. But as I say, the Battle of Clontarf, one of the most important, well, not important, but it was Brian Boru was the man. Anyway, Clontarf, as I was talking about, there's a series of these throughout the throughout the promenade here, so I'll actually show you a little bit more as we walk along, because we're going to make our way down to Bull Island in a little bit or so. But just to tell you a little more about the Clontarf Castle, it's no stranger to influential presences, welcoming many prominent guests through the centuries. George Frederick Handel was a regular guest at the castle during the Dublin premiere of his famous work, Handel's Messiah, which took place, that first performance of Handel's Messiah took place in Dublin City on Fishamble Street at a music hall on the 13th of April 1742. Performing that day also were the choirs of both St. Patrick's Cathedral and Christ Church Cathedral. You may have seen that on some of my ancient Dublin tour. You'll see the plaque on the wall describing about as the rain gets heavier and so is the wind. Now, world-renowned author Bram Stoker, author of Dracula, he grew up here in Clontarf, and he frequented Clontarf Castle as well on many occasions. It keeps on sliding on me, this gimbal, because of the wind. Sorry about this, folks. And it is said that his fascination with the castle structure inspired his image of Dracula Castle in the famed novel, and Bram Stoker remains one of the most famous Clontarf residents to this day. The Irish rock group Thin Lizzy featured the castle in their song The Friendly Ranger at Clontarf Castle, which is the opening track of their 1971 debut album, Thin Lizzy, named Thin Lizzy. I'm sure you've heard of them, a great Irish band. The lead singer being Phil Lynott, absolutely marvellous. There's a few little villages throughout Clontarf, are little shopping areas. This is one of them right here. As I say, it's a very upmarket area. There's some lovely little plush stores here and coffee shops and what have you. This right here is St. John the Baptist Church, dating back to 1838. And this will be it's a Catholic church, so would be the neighbourhood church for the people living obviously along the promenade and on some of the side streets around there as well, around here as well. If you want to take a postcard photograph of that. There you go, folks. Have palms always grown so well in Dublin? You know something, I'm going to be honest with you. When I was growing up, I wouldn't have noticed them. There wouldn't have been many. I think they were planted not that long ago, or you just wouldn't have noticed them as a kid. But they seem to be in a lot of areas today around Dublin, but they're not native to Ireland. So they would have come from the Americas and planted here at some stage. But trees grow very, very well here in this country, obviously because of the vast amount of rain that we get. We get a tremendous amount of rain. And everything grows. So I'm going to be doing a lot of garden tours coming up in April. And we're going to showcase all these beautiful, beautiful parks and gardens with beautiful flowers and lots of fauna and flora. So watch out for that space, folks. Welcome, anyways. Just join us. Faith, how are you? Good to see you. As I'm walking down the battle. So as I said before, this area of Clontarf is significant to one of the great battles of all time here in Ireland, known as the Battle of Clontarf. Now, the Battle of Clontarf took place on the 23rd of April in the year 1014. It pitted an army, led by Brian Boru, the High King of Ireland. He was High King of Ireland from 1002 to 1014. It was Brian Boru, the High King of Ireland, and his men against a Norse-Irish alliance comprising the forces of Sitric Silkenbeard, King of Dublin, King of the Vikings, and Macmurchada, King of Leinster, and a Viking army from abroad led by Sigurd of Orkney and Broder of Man. And it lasted from sunrise to sunset And it ended in a rout of the Vikings and the Leinster army. So Brian Boru and his army won the war. And it's said that between 7,000 and 10,000 men were killed in this battle on that one day, as I say, from sunrise to sunset, including most of the leaders. Although Brian Boru's forces were successful, Brian himself was killed, as were his son Murchad and his grandson as well. Now, the two main Viking leaders, Sigurd and Broder, were also slain. And after the battle, the power of the Vikings was largely broken in Dublin and Ireland. And the battle was an important event in Irish history and is recorded in both Irish and Norse chronicles. Although Brian Boru was killed, he was not killed in the battle itself. He was killed in his tent after the battle when he was praying, thanking his God for his success and victory in the battle, when a lone Viking stumbled upon Brian Boru's tent and hacked him to death. He was 73 years old. And Brian was the founder of the O'Brien dynasty. So his name, Brian Boru, if you're familiar with the name O'Brien, which is a big surname here, last name here in Ireland, Boru became O'Brien. So he was part of the O'Brien clan, if you like. Anybody on here? Any O'Briens on here tonight, folks? Very common name, not just in Ireland, but in the United States, Canada as well. Any English-speaking country, UK, O'Brien's a big name. Okay. Now, there's a series of posts throughout here explaining, as I say, all about the Battle of Clontarf. So this area that we're here, sorry folks, my gimbal is slipping on me because of the wind, and I've also got it covered. Audrey, thanks so much for the tip. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So this is Dublin Bay that you're looking at here, folks. Sorry about this, folks. You see, I have this gimbal covered because of the rain. I can't get it wet. And because of this, it's sliding a little bit on me. Let me zoom back out here for a minute. As I said before, this is Dublin Bay right here. And Dublin Bay is a C-shaped inlet of the Irish Sea here on the east coast of Ireland. And the metropolitan area of the city of Dublin surrounds three sides of the bay: the north, the west, the east, and the south. I'm going to take this cover off. If it gets wet, it gets wet, because it's just annoying me. And it keeps on sliding on me because the cover that I have on it. So let's just take it off. Hope for the best. Hope that my gimbal doesn't go on fire or anything like that. Thanks for the follow, Karen. Karen, appreciate it. Hi, Satyam, how are you? Where is the airport in relation to this spot? The airport's probably about, I would say, about 10 kilometres, 8 miles or so, 7 miles. Not that far away. We're on the north side of Dublin, and the airport is situated in Swords, Santry area of Dublin, which is also on the north side of the city. North side, just north suburb. No gimbal fires today, says Shelley. We'll see. We'll hope for the best. So Dublin Bay is a C-shaped inlet and of the Irish Sea here on the east coast of Ireland. And the metropolitan, that's easy for me to say, area of the city of Dublin surrounds three sides of the bay: the north, the west, and the south. While the Irish Sea lies to the east, UNESCO has designated Dublin Bay a biosphere reserve in recognition of its unique ecological habitat and biological diversity. The bay is also covered by multiple other designations as well, and it begins in Howth and ends in Dalkey on the south shore of Dublin. Dublin suburbs, of course. Now, if you look over here, folks, this, as I say, is the Dublin cargo port right over here. I'll just zoom in here a little bit. Is that port of Dublin there? Seems to be one or two large, maybe ferries or cruise ships going out a few months ago. Yes, indeed, Helen, that is correct. This is the Dublin port, and it's also not just a ferry port, and not just where cruise ships come on. You can see over here, you can barely make it out, there is a ferry ship right there. So there's two ferry lines that leave from here. One is Sienna Line and the other is Irish Ferries. And they make their way to Liverpool and Holyhead. Liverpool in England, Holyhead in Wales. And but the port right here is the largest, the cargo port is the largest cargo port in all of Ireland. And it was established in 1707. And approximately 2/3 of Ireland's port traffic travels through this port, which is by far the busiest on the island of Ireland. And the Northside port consists of 205 hectares, or 510 acres, and it lies at the end of the east wall and north wall. And the south side of the port is much smaller, 51 hectares, or 130 acres, and lies at the Poolbeg Peninsula. There is the Poolbeg Peninsula. You can walk all the way along there and make your way out to the Poolbeg Lighthouse right there. It's a beautiful walk. Believe it or not, it looks a lot shorter than it is, but it's about 5 or 6 kilometres of a walk. Now, Captain William Bligh, you may know him better as the story of the Mutiny and the Bounty. Was it the Mutiny of the Bounty? That ship and everyone. Well, Captain William Bligh was here in Dublin. He was involved in building the seawall here in 1800. And at the time, it was the longest seawall in the world. Today, it's still one of the longest seawalls in the world, but not the longest. So there's a bit of history for you, folks, as we continue walking down the promenade. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. If I know the answer, I'll gladly respond or answer. And if I don't, I'll try and find out for you. And you can send me an email at info@roguestour.ie. Paul J, welcome. John O, welcome. Good to see us. Hope you're all doing well. It's if you're just joining, it's a cold day here in Dublin, along by the promenade here in Clontarf on the north side of Dublin. It's the castle, Jim. I'm not anywhere near the castle. I can't give you a close-up, but I can show you the postcard again. It's about 1 kilometre away, the castle is. Nowhere near it. And there's no way I could have started there and walked all the way down because there's too much residential area in between the castle and here, the promenade. So there's just, there's no way of seeing it. No way of going there and coming back to here. I'd have to write a huge big script. And there's not much to see anyway between here and the castle itself. As I said, it's in the neighbourhood. It's in the neighbourhood. Now, the ferry port is also here with the ferries travelling to Holyhead in Wales and Liverpool in England. And it's said that history places the port in context with more than 1,000 past years, as the Vikings use it as their port of entry in the 8th and 9th century. So the port is inextricably linked to the development of Dublin City. The Poolbeg Lighthouse that you see further on there, you can see it in the distance. I'll zoom in. Distances can be deceiving when there's open spaces. Yes, indeed. Michael from Madison, Wisconsin. What's the weather like in Wisconsin, Michael? This is sure neat. Thank you. Thank you, Dragon Flute. Appreciate it. Heather. So there you go. 1767, the Poolbeg Lighthouse dates back to, as I say, this is a big cruise ship terminal. Now, it was closed down, this terminal. They were doing a lot of work on it over the last 3 or 4 years. So there was no cruise ships coming in for about 3 or 4 years. They started coming back in last year. And now there was an abundance of them came in. A plethora of them, if you like, came in over the last year. And this year, there'll be many more coming. I'm actually doing some tours for people coming off these cruise ships during the summer months. This right here is the yacht club right here, Clontarf Yacht Club. It's very small compared to the Holt Yacht Club. If you've ever seen my Holt tour, which I did just last week, I think I did it this day last week, last Tuesday, I think it was. And Holt is a massive, it's got like something like 300 yachts in it. This is only a small yacht club, wherever. But they leave from a slip right over here. There's a slip that they go out on. 60 Fahrenheit later in Philly. Oh, that's nice. That's not too bad for this time of year in Philly. Here's more about the Battle of Clontarf, the Heritage Trail. I say he was a great warrior. Now he started, he was the High King of Munster before he came the High King of Ireland. He was the High King of Munster in 992, I believe. And then he became the High King of all Ireland in 1002. And as I say, he was here in battle against the Vikings and defeated the Vikings in the Battle of Clontarf, as I say, in the year 1014. It lasted just one day on the 23rd. It was Easter Monday, 23rd of April, 1014. Between 7,000 and 10,000 men lost their lives in that one day from sunrise to sunset. And although Brian Boru, as I said before, was not killed during the battle itself, he was alone in his tent praying to his God for his victory against the Vikings and other clans, Irish clans as well, and the King of Leinster. And he was praying to God, as I say, for his victory. When a lone Viking hacked him to death, he came across his tent, hacked him to death, and that was the end of him. His son and his grandson were also killed in the battle. He was 73 years old. Now, we also distinguish Brian Boru from the Irish harp. So he was a well-known harp player, which is Ireland's oldest musical instrument. And he was an avid harp musician. And that actually original harp that Brian Boru played is today in the old library at Trinity College. You may have been on my Trinity College tours before, and housed exactly the same area where the Book of Kells, the most famous medieval manuscript ever written, well, also there in the old library, the long room, you will also see Brian Boru's harp. As I say, he was killed in the year 1014, so that harp is over 1,000 years old. How about that, folks? Can you believe it? So there are no descendants from Brian Boru. Shelley, if your name is O'Brien, you're a descendant of Brian Boru, because Boru became O'Brien. Brian Boru. Is there any O'Briens on here, folks? It's a pretty common name. It's a huge name here in Ireland. It's probably the 4th or 5th biggest surname in all of Ireland. Very, very common name. Anybody can guess what is the most common name in Ireland? What is the number one surname in all of Ireland? Let's get a guess here. Anybody can guess. There you go, Satyam. You got it. Sorry, Amanda. O'Kelly's big enough, but not that big. Satyam got it. Kieran and Mary got it. O'Reilly, Lethargy, no. That would be probably in the top 15, 20, top 20 maybe. But the number one name in Ireland is Murphy. And a lot of people that have the last name Murphy, we call them Spud, from Murphy's Potatoes from way back. They were the biggest suppliers of potatoes, the Murphy clan. So Spud, I got one of my best buddies. He's always been called Spud. His name is Ed Murphy, but no one ever calls him Ed. Always, everyone calls him Spud. And I've known him for 50 years. I grew up with the guy. As in Battle Creek. What's that? Murphy. Laughing out loud. Spud. Yeah. So if you look in the distance, folks, this wooden bridge right here, and it brings you over to an island called Bull Island. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just want to first of all tell you a little bit about these. You're probably wondering what they are. These are the Poolbeg chimneys, or the Poolbeg stacks, if you like. And these were completed in 1971. and they're the highest of any objects, if you like, in all of Dublin. And you can see them when you're flying into Dublin. You know you're in Dublin, or you know if anybody's on their way over here, coming here during the summer or any time, this is what you're going to see as you're flying in, is these Poolbeg stacks. As I say, they were completed in 1971. Chimney number 1 is 207.48 metres, or 680 feet, 9 inches. Chimney number 2 is 207.8 metres, 681 feet, 9 inches, 9 metres, and 9 inches, sorry. And they were run by the ESB, which is the Electric Supply Board here of Ireland, the ESB, to supply electricity to 1 million homes and businesses. But they were replaced by a new electricity plant in 2010, so they're no longer being used. You'll see the other plant there beside it. And they feature prominently in the U2 video of Pride in the Name of Love. So there you go. I don't think so. What's this? I missed that. It's just a surname from counties Mayo and Sligo. I missed that conversation, so I can't really comment on it. Do you have nuclear power plants? The nuclear power plants are not located along here. I'd say that's the supply. I think the nuclear power plant is somewhere in Mayo, I think. I'm not sure. About the surname Battle, I haven't heard that name too often. I don't think that, if that's an Irish name, it's a very, very rare name. It wouldn't be common at all. As I say, if you go over this bridge right here, you'll enter into Royal Dublin Golf Course, which is one of the prominent golf courses here in Dublin, and not only in Dublin but all over. Her surname is Battle. Okay, Emma. Like in the Battle of Clontarf, which we just discussed there, the Battle of Clontarf, which took place right here in the year 1014. This is, as I said before, is a really affluent neighbourhood. You see a variety of older and newer homes dotted along the road here, the coast road. And this coast road brings you out to Howth, just named the coast road. Howth, as I say, a beautiful suburb of Dublin. It's a beautiful fishing village, very attractive, and also pretty well-to-do area as well. But as I say, predominantly a fishing village, but also it's got the largest yacht club in all of Ireland. It's about 250, 300 yachts in it, and there's over 3,000 members of the Howth Yacht Club. Although there is a yacht club here in Clontarf, would be nowhere near as prominent or as large as the one in Howth. So over here on this bridge, we're going to actually, if I get some time, or if it's not too far away, we'll actually go over this wooden bridge right here. Now this area, we're coming up to near the end of Clontarf. It's where Clontarf meets another village called Raheny. And Raheny houses the beautiful, magnificent St. Anne's Park. It's a huge, massive public park with an abundance of football fields, and there's farmers markets there and everything. It's a really, really stunning place. Beautiful rose gardening as well. I'm going to actually do that tour in April sometime, or maybe early May, when the roses are in full bloom, because there's a magnificent rose garden in it. There's a lot of old buildings. There's also another tower. There's a tower there that belonged to the Guinness family in St. Anne's Park. And we're going to go in there because there's a walled garden in there as well. So there's several gardens, a beautiful open park, lots of fauna and flora. And it's right just up the street from here, not far. Aren't some of you too? Okay, that's a great question, Jim. So I was going to go on to that a little later, but lots of famous people come from this area of Dublin, Clontarf, including Bram Stoker, as I mentioned. Probably Ireland's rugby is a huge game in Ireland. We are the #1 rugby team in the whole entire world. ranked number one. This weekend, we just won the Grand Slam, so we beat every other team in the Six Nations rugby tournament. It's held every year, February and March, and there's 6 teams involved: Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales. Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, France and Italy. We beat all the other 5 teams, and the final game was this Saturday just past against England, and we beat them to win the Grand Slam. The Grand Slam is if you beat every other team, and it's not done every year, because in that tournament a lot of people will beat each other and so forth, or you lose one game or maybe 2 games or whatever, but we won each game. And now the World Cup is coming up in France in September, and we are favourites to win it. So, yes, you were asking about famous people. So the reason why I was talking about rugby there, probably the greatest rugby player to ever grace the Irish fields in rugby is from Clontarf. His name is Brian O'Driscoll. He retired probably about 6-7 years ago, and an amazing rugby footballer. Some people consider him he may be the greatest rugby player ever lived. A lot of those in the southern hemisphere of Australia and New Zealand, and they are 2 powerhouses in the game of rugby, especially the All Blacks from New Zealand. And they have said, a lot of the players, that they think O'Driscoll's the greatest player ever lived. So there you go. Quite extraordinary. Bram Stoker is that also from Clontarf. Now, U2, the band U2, they all attended a school in Clontarf. It's right on the border of Clontarf and at a village called Marino. And the name of the school was Mount Temple. And one day the drummer, now they were all in the same school, and one day the drummer, Larry Mullen, put a notice on the notice board in the school that he was a drummer, and he was looking for a lead guitarist, a singer, and a bass player. And who signed up? Obviously Bono signed up as the singer, The Edge signed up as the lead guitarist, and Adam Clayton signed up as the bass player. And together they became one of the biggest rock bands in the history of rock music. U2 went to school right up the street from here, Mount Temple. So how about that, folks, for history here in this area. Another brilliant rugby player. He's got over about 120 caps for Ireland. His name is Cian Healy. He also grew up here in Clontarf. There's a great rugby team here, Clontarf Rugby. There's lots of great golf courses around the area as well. You may have heard of Barry Fitzgerald, the actor. He was in The Bells of St. Mary's with Bing Crosby. Anybody heard that name before? His real name was, I think, something Shields. I forget what his first real name was, but he went by Barry Fitzgerald. He grew up here in Clontarf as well. I've heard of the film, says Michael. Yeah, The Bells of St. Mary's. It's going back to the 1940s, I'd say, that movie. But it was a classic at the time, a real classic at the time. So welcome to Bull Island. I'll explain here a little bit about Bull Island to you. So over here is Bull Island. Once you go over the bridge, Bull Island, or North Bull Island, is an island located here in Dublin Bay. It's 5 kilometres long and 800 metres wide, lying parallel to Clontarf. Now, the island has a sandy beach known as Dollymount Strand, running its entire length. And the island is owned by Dublin City Council, and you can access the island from a wooden bridge. This one right here, folks, here in Clontarf. And Bull Island has the most designations of any site in Ireland as a natural bird sanctuary and a biosphere reserve. Let's go over. Amanda, yeah, it's not a big American game, even though America does have a team. Thank you, Karen, appreciate it. They do have a team, and they're getting a lot better, but they're still a good bit behind the rest of the world, as is the Canadian rugby team. They're just the teams in Western Europe and the Southern Hemisphere teams of South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, and then the 6 home countries here of Ireland, England, Scotland, France, Wales, and, well, Italy. Italy aren't that great, but they're getting better. But they will be the top teams. Argentina also has a good team. in rugby. So it's a game that's not played all over the world, but it is played in a lot more countries than it used to be. And some countries are getting much better. Like the Argentinian team is quite a good team, and there's no other. I think Chile might have a team, but there's no other teams in South America except that. As we go over this wooden bridge, now a natural nature reserve here, as I say, a special protection area under the EU Birds Directive, and a special area of conservation under the EU Habitats Directive. And there are many varieties of plants and bird species on the island. Now, it's going to take me 10 minutes to walk over this bridge to get to the island, so I hope I don't run out of stuff to talk about. There's a hotel in the distance right here, you see, folks. This is an absolutely magnificent walk from the village of Holt. You can go and walk through Hotel. It's actually 15 kilometers long, Hotel. And when you look down, there's a series of these absolutely beautiful inlets, little beaches. They're just glorious little beaches. And the place is completely packed during the summer months, especially on finer days. People are walking. There's 4 walking trails along Hotel. 2 of them are 7 kilometers, one 6 kilometers, and the other one goes all the way to the town of Sutton, the village of Sutton, which is 15 kilometers. As I say, it's 15 kilometers long. And halfway down Holt Hill, you come to the Bailey Lighthouse. Bailey Lighthouse was built in, I think it was 1636. So it goes way, way, way back. One of the oldest lighthouses around. Although Hook Lighthouse, where is Hook Lighthouse located? I got a mental block, can't remember what county it's in. But it dates back to the 12th century, early 12th century. 1102 or something like that. You can watch the matches, you don't understand it. It's a difficult game to understand if you've never played it or if you haven't grown up with it, Amanda. It definitely is, but it is a fantastic game. And these guys are such brave men. They really put so much effort into the game. They get banged up big time. There's a huge amount of injuries during the course of nearly every game. And but these guys are so strong. They're in the gym, all the time, working out, building up their muscles and what have you. So they're able to withstand a lot of pain, a lot of hits, if you like. Now, boat cruises here leave from Dublin City and also from Howth and from Dunleary on the south side. And they come along here up to Bull Island. And the boat cruises are very, very popular during the summer months. They also leave from Dublin City. They can be seen approaching Bull Island on numerous occasions every single day, obviously during the summer months. Now we're coming also up to one of the finest golf courses, not just in Dublin and not just in Ireland, but one of the finest golf courses in the whole entire world. It's called the Royal Dublin Golf Course, in a magnificent course. It's the 3rd oldest golf course in Ireland. It dates back to 1885, and it's synonymous with the legendary Christy O'Connor Sr. And he was the club professional here for 57 years, from 1959. And he continued as pro, for 59 years. He had an illustrious golf career, and in 2009, he was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. He died in 2016. He had 24 wins on the European Tour, 41 worldwide wins, and he was 10 times a member of the Ryder Cup, the Ireland and England Ryder Cup team, Ireland and Great Britain Ryder Cup team, which now the Ryder Cup consists of Europe, all the best players in Europe versus the USA. Back then, during Christy O'Connor's time, it was Ireland and Great Britain versus the USA. Great tournament, the Ryder Cup. I don't know if there's any golfers on here or anybody that likes the sport of golf, but it's a huge sport, especially in this country. There's 443 golf courses on a tiny island here in Ireland, making it more. We have more golf courses here in Ireland than anywhere else on the world per landmass, per area, if you like. And a lot of them are on the coast, just like this one here. And golf courses on the coast are known as golf links courses. Golf links. And Ireland has more golf links courses than any place in the world, in the whole entire world. Because we have a massive coastline. And the coastline, obviously we're an island. We're not surrounded by any other country. We are an island. So the whole country has the sea. On the west coast of Ireland, it's the Atlantic Ocean. On the east coast of Ireland, like right here, it's the Irish Sea. So this Dublin Bay is like a inlet, if you like, of the Irish Sea on the Irish seaboard. There's the clubhouse to Dublin Castle. Obviously, that's a modern. More golf courses than in Scotland per area. Scotland, believe it or not, is bigger than the whole entire island of Ireland. Scotland's a bigger country than Ireland. So, as regards land mass, we have more. Scotland may have more golf courses than Ireland, but as regards land mass, we have most. As regards area. Welcome, Paddy. How are you? Thank you, Paddy, for the tip. Paddy just joined and then gives a tip right away. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Paddy. Paddy's coming here in June. She's going to hang out with me for a bit. Going to take her around Dublin City on a nice tour. We'll have a few drinks and something to eat afterwards. And she's very excited about coming to Dublin. Anybody else coming to Ireland this year? Let me know, folks. Give me a shout. info@roguestour.ie. I'll take you around. This is, look, it's another mile to get to Dollymount Strand, at least a kilometre and a half from here to get to Dollymount Strand. As I say, Dollymount Strand is like 5 kilometres long. Beautiful, beautiful sandy beach. It's huge for, obviously, for day trippers and what have you. People come by from all over to go to Dollymount Strand. As I say, it's a beautiful, big, huge, long stretch. Helen, thank you so much. I didn't know you were on. Thank you, Helen, from Tucson, Arizona. Originally from Cornwall in England. Great to see you. Thanks very much, Helen. Jim is coming to Dingle in September. Dingle is one of the most beautiful places, not just in Ireland, but on the face of the earth, folks. Absolutely gorgeous. Slayhead and Dingle Peninsula. The scenery is just breathtaking. And the likes of which you probably wouldn't see too many places like it anywhere in the world. Hello, of course, I remember. Staying in Dunquin, yeah. Lovely, lovely section of Dingle. And it's wonderful. Dingle town is also a lovely little town full of just fabulous bars and restaurants. A few hotels. Murphy's Ice Cream, of course, where it all started, was in Dingle. And of course, some great boat trips. A lot of fishing in Dingle, so you get fresh fish in the restaurants. Also, some great boat trips. Unfortunately, poor old Fungi is gone. Fungi was a dolphin that was in the harbour of Dingle for over 40 years. I think it was like 45 years or something. And he went missing. Was it 2020? In October 2020, he went missing. So they feared that he must have died. But he was along the, I think about 45 years, Fungi, the dolphin, hung out around the harbour of Dingle. And boat trips, like not just one boat, but there was about 10 different boats used to go out, take crowds out to see Fungi, the dolphin. Because Fungi, the dolphin, would jump up, obviously, you know, the way dolphins do. They'd dive up in the air and dive back in. And he loved seeing all the people on the boats coming and visiting him. He was the real attraction. It was amazing. Fantastic. And I happened to be there in June of 2020, just about 4 months before he went missing. So I did get a chance to see him, which was fantastic. Steves. Yeah, Rick Steves is brilliant. Yeah, if you want to see some great videos of Ireland, folks, there's an American chap, I don't know what part of the US he's from, but his name is Rick Steves, and he does these absolutely magnificent videos of Ireland. Well, he does videos all over the world, but he does amazing videos. He does one there, obviously, in the... you saw Fungi as well, Jim, yeah? It's great. So, as I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, this is the Royal County Dublin golf course, Royal Dublin golf course, one of the most famous courses anywhere in the world. It's a very difficult golf course. You have to be a good player. A lot of sand dunes all over the place, a lot of sand traps, and also high winds coming in like it is today. It's very windy. High winds coming in from the coast. It's a links golf course. And as I say, the club professional for 57 years was Christy O'Connor Senior. There was actually, he had a nephew who also was a professional golfer, Christy O'Connor Junior. But Senior was a great friend of Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus, probably the greatest golfer in history, from Columbus, Ohio. And Jack Nicklaus was a great friend of Christy O'Connor's and was here on many occasions playing golf with Christy O'Connor Senior. They were great, great friends. Obviously, because they played against each other in the Ryder Cup on many occasions. As I say, back then it was Ireland and Great Britain versus the USA. But they became great, great friends. Now, Dollymount Strand is further down. I'm not going to walk any further, folks, because it's another half a mile, another kilometre, probably. But the Golden Bear is right, Helen. The Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. Now, some will dispute he's the greatest player of all time. Others might say it's Tiger Woods. But Tiger Woods only won 15 majors. Jack Nicklaus won 18 majors. And he finished second on 20 occasions. On 20 majors, he finished second. To me, he's still the greatest golfer ever lived, in my opinion. Now, Dollymount Strand is further down. As I said before, it's a huge, big strand, 5 kilometres long, up there by Bull Island. And the Dubliners call it Dollier, not Dollymount. They call it Dollier, Dollyer, Dollier. It's 5 kilometres long, stretches sandy beach and dunes, located here, Clontarf / Raheny, if you like. Me too, says Helen. You agree that Nicklaus is the greatest of ever? Yeah, he was, in my opinion. Folks, that's about all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Thank you very much for coming along. It's a little bit unfortunate as regards the weather that there's no blue skies or sunshine to see the lovely Dublin Bay, because it really is gorgeous during the summer months or during the finer weather. But it's raining, it's still raining, and it's also cold and windy. We're making up for the great February we had, because March has been atrocious. It's been absolutely horrible month as regards rain. It's been raining every single day. In February, we didn't get rain at all, and it was lovely weather. And the temperatures were pretty high for February. Well, they were really high for February. But we're making it. How far is Dingle from Dublin? Dingle from Dublin is about 4.5 hour drive, maybe close to 5 hours. 4.5 anyway. Because it's way on the western tip of Ireland. In fact, is it Dunquin, Jim? Dunquin is the last place that stretches out in the peninsula of Dingle, and it's the last place in Ireland before you get to, if you left from there, that's the last point in Ireland before you get to the United States, or before you get to Canada, because it stretches out into the Atlantic Ocean. The last place, yeah, is Dunquin. So, it's, as I say, it stretches out the furthest point of the Dingle Peninsula. But it's well worth going to, Paddy. It's an absolutely beautiful place. But you would need to drive there, or you could get a train to maybe Killarney and maybe get a bus from Killarney to, or Tralee, even better, to Dingle. But the great thing about Ireland, nothing is that far. It's a small country. So you guys driving on the big highways in the US and Canada and so forth, you know, if you're going from one province or one state to another, yeah, it's taking you 7 or 8 hours and stuff like that. Here, there's nothing that's 7 or 8 hours drive. Nothing. From east to west is only about 2.5 hours. From east coast to west coast. From the top of the north, way down to the top of the south, from Mallinhead and Donegal to Mizenhead and Cork, it's probably about 6.5 hours, 7 hours maybe drive. That's from top to bottom. And that's the longest stretch. 4 hours is nothing there too, yeah. Now, you have to remember, it's an Irish 4 hours, 4.5 hours, 5 hours, whatever, which could be a little longer than that, because you may have to go through some little villages and so forth as well. But it's a beautiful scenic drive, as Ireland is known as the Emerald Isle because the 40 shades of green, all due to this weather, the lots of rain, and that's why it's so green. So I shouldn't be complaining about the rain. If we never got this type of rain, or a lot of rain, we wouldn't have the beautiful landscape that we have, the beautiful green in the Emerald Isle. So there you have it, folks. I'm going to live you and love you. Tomorrow I'm doing the Dublin Castle tour, and the Dublin Castle tour is, or where Dublin Castle was established in the year 1204 by King John of England, and it was the seat of British government in Ireland for over 700 years. I'm going to tell you the story of the British occupation here in Ireland and all the different events that have taken place in Dublin Castle over the last 700 years. We're also going to go to the Dublin Gardens, which is part of Dublin Castle, and the Dublin Gardens is where Dublin gets its name. We'll explain that to you. We'll also show you a little bit of the Chester Beatty Library. Chester Beatty Library Museum in 2002 was named European Museum of the Year. It's fabulous. We'll also show you the oldest building in Dublin Castle, and that's the Round Tower, the Wardrobe Tower. It was also a prison tower at one time, and it dates back to the year 1210. It's the oldest standing building still in Dublin Castle. So I hope you can make it for that. Is Dublin Castle different from Clontarf? Yes, completely different. Helen, Clontarf Castle out here. Dublin Castle is in the heart of Dublin City. So I hope you can join us for that. Then come this Friday, I know France mentioned that she lived here. I don't know if she's still on. She was on earlier, France. And she lived in Ballsbridge in Dublin for 7 years, she said. I think she lives in the US or Canada. I'm not sure. Can't remember. But I'm doing Ballsbridge. I'm doing Ballsbridge tour on Friday. And Ballsbridge is the most affluent area in Dublin. A really nice leafy suburb. We're going to take in the beautiful Herbert Park, the RDS, the Royal Dublin Society. We're also going to show you the American Embassy and show you some other beautiful leafy streets, if you like, and also Shelburne Road. And we'll finish at the beautiful Lansdowne Road Stadium, now known as Aviva Stadium. All the stadiums are now corporate sponsored, so they've changed their name. Heather lives in Clontarf. She's on the tour today. Helen, are you living close to where I am right now? That's great, Helen. I did this tour one time before in July of last year, and there was a lady on here, and she happened to go to the same school. She's from Clontarf, and she happened to go to the same school as the boys from U2, Mount Temple. As I say, all 4 members went to the same school, Mount Temple. And I think her name was Ava, the girl that was from Clontarf. What part of Clontarf are you in, Heather? Helen? Are you near where I am right now? Sarsfield Road, okay, yeah. Is that near Castle Road? I think it's around that way, is it? Sarsfield Road. Very good. All right, folks. We'll love you and leave you. Give you another look at the pullback stacks, or the pullback chimneys, if you like, right here along Dublin Bay at the port, close to the port, the Poolbeg Peninsula. See you there, folks. Thanks very much for all those who left a tip. Very much appreciated. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. If not tomorrow, we'll see you Friday. I have some other tours next week as well. So if you haven't already followed my channel, please do so. My channel, DaveKavanagh.com. And you'll see all my upcoming tours and you get notification. If you did enjoy the tour today, please, folks, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a nice review, because I've only done this one time before, so there's not many reviews on this tour. The more reviews people see, the more inclined they are to book it the next time the tour comes around. So if you could please leave a review. If you're looking for the review, you're going to get an email about going on this tour today, and it will probably show you my other upcoming tours as well. And at the very bottom of that email, it says leave a review, and that's the review for this particular tour. So please leave a review. I'd really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, folks. As I say, the more reviews, the more people are going to come on the tour the next time as we look at the lovely neighbourhood of Clontarf on the coast road right here in Dublin. See you there, folks. Slán nit agus go raibh míle maith Sláinte. I'm going to get myself a hot whiskey. Chase it down with a pint of Guinness. Or maybe a pint of Guinness and chase it down with a hot whiskey. Because I'm cowled. I'm cowled. Thanks, Kieran and Mary. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we'll see us. Have a great day. Take care. Thank you.